Hello there and welcome. It is time to talk about reactive abilities. And it's important to note that this is being recorded in December of 2025 in case anything changes in the future or as more things get added, because I have put all of the reactive abilities that currently exist in the game into the spreadsheet, along with the units that have those abilities, and with the help of some community members who are very good with rules stuff. They've helped me narrow down all of the triggering events that are currently referenced by these reactive abilities, and that's important because you can only use one reactive ability per player per um, triggering event. So that is the focus in order to understand what abilities are going to conflict with each other. So we have an attack, choosing to activate a reserved card, combat action, defend, end of activation, and ending a advance dash jump or climb, move action, revealing an order card, start an activation, struggle card claimed, targets. So that is different than attacks, and that'll come up later. Would suffer damage, wounded, or wounds. So somebody becomes wounded or wounds. And so, first off, we have quite a list of abilities that trigger off attacks. This first batch here, I have labeled that part of the restriction is that an ally does the attacking. So stuff like reflector discs, I'll hold them off. Training your Jedi arts, Grievous. There's a bunch of different names for this ability where these characters can do a 5 dice attack after doing an attack. Now, the restriction, maybe we'll start with that example, I guess. So, General Solo, outnumbered, not outgunned. So, let's read through the ability. After a character in this unit makes an attack as part of a combat action, this unit may use this ability. One character in this unit may make a 5 dice attack targeting a character in a different enemy unit. So the first line is when we can trigger the ability. As I mentioned, the trigger is makes an attack. The restriction is basically everything else. Character in this unit, part of a combat action. Those are the restrictions or conditions that allow you to use the ability. The event is making an attack. So that means that any other ability that triggers off of making an attack cannot be used on the attack that you want to trigger, outnumbered, not outgunned. So something like coordinated fire, which Freedom Fighter Leia has, but I don't have that card pulled up. So we'll look at it from the Dark Troopers. When a character in another allied Galactic Empire unit makes an attack as part of a combat action, before dice are rolled, this unit may use this ability. If the target is within 5 of a character in this unit, the target gains strain. So again, the first line is telling you when and what conditions need to be met in order to use that ability. But again, it makes an attack. That is the event. The conditions are a character in another allied Galactic Empire unit and it's part of a combat action. The timing is before dice are rolled, but then you can use that ability. Okay, and compare this to supporting fire. The conditions are all the same, but the timing is different. It's after the attack or after the effect is resolved, I think. Oh yeah, here's supporting fire on the Death Troopers. So when a character in another allied Galactic Empire unit makes combat attack as part of a combat action after the effect is resolved, this unit may use this ability. If the attacking character is within 5, that character may dash. So, same conditions. Timing is after the effect is resolved. So that's when you declare using the ability, and then the attacking character, if they're within 5, gets dash. So there are quite a few abilities that go off of a attack, and there's actually characters that have themselves multiple reactive abilities that key off of that attack. So Jin, for example, she's got I Rebel, which gives her a dash after doing an attack. Reckless, aggressive, and undisciplined, which Mando and Boosh and Paplu have. Fearless and Inventive, same thing. That's the one where when they make a melee attack as part of a combat action, 4 dice are rolled. They may use the ability, add 2 dice to attack roll for each enemy character other than that target that is not wounded and is engaged with one or more characters in this unit. So again, makes an attack, restrictions being melee, this unit, combat action, timing being before the dice are rolled, again, kind of same timing as the coordinate fire, but you can't use both those reactive abilities on the same attack. Phil, actually, his 2 abilities, again, both off of attacks, can't use them on the same attack. One of them's just for him, adding the dice for if you're attacking a primary, and then that we specialize in making entrances, that's the one to advance a Jedi towards that objective. IG-88B, calculated plans, and I-engineering success, both keying off of attacks with various restrictions, but you can't use both of those on the same attack. We've got a couple where it's when you defend, so surely you can do better. Count Dooku's one where he turns hits to fails. That is when he defends, or when, that's when he defends. Imperial Intelligence, you can use that on an attack or defend, coming from Callus. Move action, so Mandalorians are stronger together, the Mandos. Protection protocol, helpful hand from Ezra, and forming up Sir for Fixer. So there's not really overlap in which units can use these, but you wouldn't be able to use more than one of these abilities on a move action, the same move action. Ezra might come the closest. Let's see. Yeah. So let's say you had Dooku, and he did a move action within 2 of Ezra. You wouldn't be able to use helpful hand and protection protocol from that move action. There's a few that have the forward planning type ability when I think it's primary or secondary. Yeah, when a primary unit or secondary unit, allied secondary unit within 4 starts their activation, they remove one condition. So obviously you can only use one of those at a time. Could potentially have, well, no, C3PO and Bar 2 both have R2, so you couldn't have them both in the list. Techo, you could. It's not restricted. Yeah. So if you had a list with both of them, obviously you can't use both of their abilities. Slip Away on Barris and Saturation Fire for the B2s are actually from when when you target a someone engaged with Barris, or when the B2s target someone on an active objective. So you can use those both on the same, that they don't really overlap with their conditions, because Barris is Republic, but B2s are obviously not Republic. But what's important to note is this is not keying off the attack, so they do not conflict with all of these abilities. Then there's wounded. So when the unit is wounded, like Vader 1, Paz, Dengar, Zeb, or when an allied unit is wounded. So those are conditions, but the key being they're wounded. So K2, Bosk, Hondo, Solo, Krennic. So those are all reactive abilities, keying off being wounded. So say with Vader 1 and Krennic, they're both Empire. You could not use the Sith Lord Strikes Back and your concerns are hardly warranted. Or let's keep in a little optimism along with, say, K2 or Zeb's abilities. So if you're going to keep Zeb from staying wounded and make him injured instead, you can't use Solo or K2's abilities there. Stuff like that. Grief and Django, I should have put that in the same line. They're the same ability. Basically, well, I guess not. They're the same trigger, for sure. Choose when your opponent chooses to activate a reserved card, except Grief gives a 5 dice attack, a dash and 5 dice attack to any bounty hunter. Django can just do it himself. And then we get into things keying off of the combat action. So we have Anakin and Ahsoka with their do another attack. Cad with his jump or add 2 damage. Precise Strike from Luminara, that keys off the combat action. And what's important to note is that you can, a combat action gives each character in the unit the opportunity to attack. They can do a combat action without attacking, though. So if for some reason you need Luminara to, say, dash somebody within 3, clone support within 3, or Republic support, I guess, you can do the combat action and not do the attack. Same with Riff, with his jump and attack after Separatist or Scoundrel supports. Boring Conversation Anyway is very similar to Hit and Run from Riff and Aura, but Hit and Run actually keys off the attack, and Han and Chewie's reposition. The event is the combat action for that one. Rex, Seven Scorch, Padawan Ahsoka, they're kind of follow-up attacks. They are also key to the combat action, so you can use that when you have also used one of the attack triggering abilities. Snowtrooper Lieutenant with Dogged Assault, Element of Surprise for Bartu. That one's an interesting one because you're adding 2 dice to each of the attacks. The event for triggering that is that they do a combat action. Same in Cloak and Dagger with Rebel Pathfinders. The Power Within Vader 3, that is an end of activation ability trigger. And, well, that's the end of his activation. So I do have it separate from Boba's because the conditions for Boba is that an enemy primary ends their activation. So if you have Vader 3, he's obviously not the enemy unit there. So to get his jump, there's these ones that are also keying off attacks, but when your enemy, your opponent, does an attack, lots of deflects, twice the pride, double the fall, Count Dooku's. That's keying off of the enemy attack, attacking you in melee. And then as well. Then we've got a few that are keying off of the enemy doing a move action. So Hunter and Nadar, when the opposing player's primary unit ends a move action, they get a dash. Those are both reactive, so they cannot be used both off the same enemy move action. And same with actually Firebrand. I found while going through this, it's off a move action from your enemy, so you actually couldn't use both of these. Not that they would necessarily be in the same list, but you can't use both on the same move action. We've got a bunch of those. We've got a bunch of, actually abilities that key off your enemy targeting you. So uncivilized, unwise to lower your defenses, those ones where you have to spend it when they target, you spend a force, and then if they roll a fail, then they take 3 damage back. Those type abilities, or Luke with his jump, or Mind Trick. So Mind Trick is one to point out for sure, because I know people with OB2 like to spam a lot of disarms, so this and splash them around with a lot of different units. Obviously not with OB1, but if you have any of these, any 2 of these characters in your team, you cannot use OB2's disarm and on top of these other abilities. We've got some reactive abilities for when you wound somebody. So when Chopper wounds somebody, he's got that one. We stand amidst my achievement for Krennic when a primary or secondary allied to him wounds. So those wouldn't overlap, but they have the same trigger of wounding wounding an enemy unit, or an ally. Yeah, I have it labeled wrong. That would be another when ally wounds somebody. Okay, there you go. Just the two there. Payday is the same as expect to be well paid by Han and Chewie. That's when you reveal an order card. Submerge is also a reactive ability that is triggered by revealing an order card. So if you happen to have the Aqua Droids along with any of these guys, you can't use both on the same revealing of an order card. And then we've got a couple unique ones here with Cassian's struggle card being claimed, although it looks like Balin Skull will also share that timing, although his is an identity, so yeah, that's not going to conflict either. What's the matter too fast for you? That is I needed some help with this one, but the event is that she would suffer damage. So it's not when you defend, it's not targets, anything like that. It is a unique event where they would suffer damage, then that's when they trigger that ability. So that actually, I mean, the conditions are that it's a melee attack, so you wouldn't also do deflect because that's ranged attack, but you could actually use that when, as well as Obi-2's mind trick, or let's see, Count Dooku's, I think that's when you attack him. This is Twice the Pride. Okay, yeah. Twice the Pride Double the Fall is after a melee attack targeting an allied character within 2 is resolved. So technically, if you had Count Dooku within 2 of Ahsoka, and she, there was a melee attack on her where there were no hit results left at the end of all the blocks canceling out and modifiers and all that stuff, you could actually use both, which would be very, very unfortunate for your opponent, taking half the damage back and then having Count Dooku also dash and attack. But so that's an interesting interaction there. But yeah, that is the list of current reactive abilities in the game. I may share this, maybe share this spreadsheet in the description, and then maybe I can add some of the other reactive abilities as they come out. So let me know in the comments if this was helpful and if you'd like more videos of this nature, and subscribe, like, all that good stuff, and look out for more.